I don't know what to tell you, but that was damn good. I mean, if you're going to have a sports show today, you got to show that first and foremost. My goodness, John Morant, do yourself a favor. Like, obviously, none of us can do that, right? I mean, the dude's a freak, okay? But do yourself a favor. If next time you're around a basketball court and just look at where he jumped from and imagine yourself trying to do that. Like, imagine yourself trying to reach back and then imagine yourself with some big dude standing right there in front of you. That was so good last night. I don't know what to tell you. Malik Beasley, he's getting a bunch of grief. Hey, man, Malik Beasley stood in there. Malik Beasley gave it a shot. Screw that. Screw all the people hating. And welcome, by the way, to Don't At Me, America's greatest morning show. It's the best show you'll ever see. The best show. We'll get through hump day today, but that was so good. By John Morant. All right, let's get into the day. Look at this tweet by Elon Musk. Elon Musk, for those of you that don't know, paid $44 billion to take over Twitter, and it has the folks freaking out. Now, for days and days and years and years and years, the left told us, what? What are you talking about? There's no censorship here. There's no bias here. This is free speech. That's what they told us. Well, the extreme antibody reaction from those who fear free speech says it all. Yes, it does. And it says it all on a variety of levels. Number one, what's everybody so afraid of if there's nothing to see here? Well, it's all I heard. Nothing to see here. Why is it always the left tells me there's nothing to see here, and there turns out to be stuff to see here? Russian collusion, nothing to see here. This lie, that lie, nothing to see here. The big guy, somehow Biden got $5.2 million in extra income. I don't know how it happened. Everybody tells me nothing to see here. Twitter, there's nothing to see here. There's no censorship of anything. What are you worried about? Well, all of a sudden, Elon Musk decides to go ahead and put $44 million in the pockets of those that own Twitter. And he put a boat ton into people that had Twitter on the stock market. Bought the thing. I don't know about you, but on my little Twitter account, which has 150,000 plus people following me, it immediately went up 300 followers. I don't know how that happened. It has not gone up ever since I started posting things that aren't the left. I don't know how that happened. Please explain that to me. I am all ears. I would love to hear how that could possibly happen if there's nothing to see here. Of course there's something to see here. Of course there's been censorship. I don't even know what the hell an algorithm is, but I know this. There's a lot of people that's tweets I followed and I never saw. What do they call it? Shadow blocking? A lot of that going on. A lot of censorship of people whose ideas were not in cahoots with the left. A lot of that going on. If it wasn't going on, what's everybody worried about? There's going to be misogyny. Well, there already was, but it always came from one side. There's going to be racist. Well, you ever read Joy Reid's tweets? You don't think that's racist as hell? What are you, nuts? You ever see what comes out of the mouth of Jalen Rose? You don't think that's racist as hell? What are you talking about? It's okay when it was coming from one side. It's okay when opinions coming from one side kind of met with the opinions of those running Twitter, but isn't free speech about both sides? Isn't free speech about hearing what people have to say? Certainly. Of course it is. What's wrong with you? That's an amazing thing we've got going here. It really is. It's fascinating, and I'm not really a says-it-all guy. We make fun of says it all about you. Dan, you work for Outkick. Says a lot about you. Yeah, it says that I like free speech and I like having a variety of thought that isn't going to get censored by my bosses. You're wearing a blue shirt today, Dan. Says a lot about you. You shaved your head, Dan. Says a lot about you. Yeah, well, we make fun of that. But it does, look, nothing to see here means nothing to see here. Doesn't matter whether you're running it or you're running it. There ain't nothing to see, there ain't nothing to see. Everything's laid out. It's free speech. There's no censorship. I don't know why we'd be worried about it, but apparently we are. And I like what Elon Musk had to say right there, because he's right. Everybody that you have seen that ditched Twitter, made a big deal about it, knows there has been a bias and a slant. That bias, that protection actually, that's what it is. It's protection that your thoughts, our little Libby friends, their thoughts are going to be pushed. The other side's thoughts are going to be diminished/censored. Now, I am not on either side. I have always maintained that both sides have good thoughts. Both sides have horrendous thoughts. Both sides can be great. Both sides can be idiots. I am the commissioner of common sense. I listen, I pay attention, I research, I decide. That's simple. I don't know why that's so hard for everybody not named Dakich or not named, I don't know, Clay Travis or not named, I don't know. Actually, I really don't know, because there's not a lot of people that do that, because there's even less people with common sense that'll speak out because they're afraid. Fascinating. Fascinating tweet. Fascinating morning. Hump day. Mark Emmert has stepped down from the NCAA. Mark Emmert has had a bad run, not financially, as the head of the NCAA. Mark Emmert is the easiest punching bag in sports. Mark Emmert called the Kansas Jayhawks the Kansas City Jayhawks. Problem for Mark Emmert was always this. In his 12 years as the head of the NCAA, he was always on the wrong side of a media that had many agendas. Remember, Mark Emmert is the guy that presided over the NCAA when the world of college sports decided we must acquiesce and cater to 18 to 23-year-olds, and anyone who doesn't is a racist, a sexist, or whatever. Mark Emmert is the greatest punching bag in sports. He and Roger Goodell. It's easy to punch on those two guys. Adam Silver's woke. We don't touch Adam Silver. Gary Bettman, no one cares about hockey, so people boo him, but they don't really care. Adam Silver probably, well, not probably, I would believe, is the worst at his job of all three. But that's all right. He's on the right side of the media. He's a Libby. The Libbies love him. The Libby is media. Mark Emmert's salary caused Mark Emmert a lot of problems. Today, Dan Wetzel has an article that went up on Yahoo, and it mentions his high salary in the headline, $2.9 million. Every article that I read, $2.9 million. Every article that I read, well, he called Kansas City, the Kansas City Jayhawks. You know who the worst public speakers are? Writers. Writers couldn't speak at all. Right now, Dan Graziano is hosting Get Up, and he's horrible. It's awful. It's unwatchable because Dan Graziano can't speak. He doesn't speak with authority. He doesn't project. Nice guy, I'm sure, smart about football, but he's a god-awful host. There's nobody worse. Nobody speaks worse. Nobody eats worse. Nobody looks worse than media people. I'll never forget, I'm the head coach at Indiana. I'm looking out, and I'm looking at all these slobs, and it hit me. I've got to explain to these slobs that don't know their backside from third base what the hell just happened in a basketball game. There's no chance they can understand it. The only thing they understand is getting to a deadline. The only thing else they understand is getting their side of it out, whatever's easiest, and when does the buffet close? That's it. So all these guys that are losing their minds on Mark Emmert can go ahead and kiss my you-know-what. Mark Emmert is either going to leave in by June 30th of 2023 or until a replacement is found. Mark Emmert is on the wrong side of the media. I live here in Indy. I have a friend that was screwed over royally by Mark Emmert. So I don't necessarily like Mark Emmert, but I don't know that what he's done is so awful. He said paying players was an existential threat to amateur athletics? Well, I think it is. I think everybody thinks it is. I put out the other day a tweet that showed a player, an okay player, Nigel Pack, going to University of Miami, and it showed his deal, 2 years, $800,000 in a car. And I just simply asked, what do you think about it? Got over 200 responses. Of the 200 responses, let's just say there's 200, probably 80% was it stinks for college athletics. Good for the kid. Fine. Well, that's all Mark Emmert was saying. And the majority of you believe that. The majority of you that are college basketball fans, real college basketball or football fans, not media-driven guys, not some guy that's scared writing for Yahoo or ESPN that he's going to be called an ist, not some guy that makes his money on ESPN advocating for players' rights when he doesn't really believe what he's saying. Stop it. You know, people always point to last year. Last year, the women's basketball tournament the men's basketball tournament got embarrassed by the women's basketball tournament. The women's basketball tournament showed that they didn't have the same equipment, they didn't have the same amenities as what the men's basketball tournament had. You remember that? You remember when everybody went nuts? You know who the fault was? It wasn't on Mark Emmert, it was on the women's basketball committee. The women's basketball committee was the laziest group of people of any committee. That's a direct quote from a guy that used to run all this. They made it a cocktail party, their little committee meetings, while the men's basketball committee was working on ways to make sure the NCAA tournament went off smoothly. The women's basketball tournament, according to a great source, met for like an hour, and then it was cocktails and a lot of fun. Cocktails, a lot of fun, turned into an embarrassment for the women, who put it on the commissioner, who then put it on the NCAA, whatever. Next thing you know, the media is stupid enough. They don't do any research. It's Mark Emmert's fault. It wasn't Emmert's fault. It was a lazy, blank side NCAA women's basketball committee. Period. And if you don't believe it, you just don't know. But I guarantee you, you never heard that anywhere. Why? Because media is too scared to say that the folks running the women's basketball tournament were lazy and ineffective and frankly ignorant to what their job was supposed to be. But that went on Emmert. See, I don't believe what I read. You know, everybody's going to say the big bad wolf is dead. I don't believe for a second what I read. I know there's always a backstory. And when you're running that job, the backstories are immense. Now, he was an egomaniac, sure. He made mistakes, sure. The 5 o'clock Friday dump was absolute genius for the NCAA. Made the little Rider boys and girls mad, but who gives a rat's about them? If we were smart, we ain't listening to none of them. But that's all right. We do. I don't know why, but you all do. You don't have to, but you do. So that's the deal. I don't know whether Mark Emmert is good. I don't know whether Mark Emmert was bad. I'm not in those meetings, but I know this. The women's basketball committee was inept last year getting their thing set up here in Indianapolis, and that wasn't Mark Emmert's fault. That was their fault. Take that bad boy to the bank. I saw this yesterday, and I thought to myself, really? Let me ask you a question. I'm going to have a little, just a question. And then I'm going to take a sip of coffee. Who's the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons? I contend that the Atlanta Falcons were the least interesting team since the Super Bowl. Maybe before the Super Bowl. They got interesting in the second half when Tom Brady came from 28-3 down. But who's the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons? I'll give you a hint. He won the Heisman Trophy. I'll give you another hint. He wasn't any good. Guys in Tennessee will know. But he wasn't any good. Marcus Mariota. So I'm looking yesterday, and I'm perusing the sports page. I'm looking to see what I want to talk about. And I see a headline in ESPN's NFL football coverage. And it says, GM of of the Atlanta Falcons wants or hopes to get, well, here's a headline. GM, Falcons hope to come out of draft with a quarterback. And it made me think, who the hell's a quarterback in Atlanta? Ryan's over with us, Matt Ryan. I don't think he was interesting. So I had to click on the thing here. I think I could name most quarterbacks. And all of a sudden it says, oh, Marcus Mariota and Felipe Franks, the kid from Florida. All right. Well, I looked at that and I said, tell Noah about the flood. You think you want a quarterback in Atlanta? Yeah, I think so. I think you might. I don't know. Felipe Lopez, I think, got beat out at Florida a couple different times. Marcus Mariota, I don't know. He got to be, for some reason, a hot name by coming in once in a while out in Oakland or out in L.A. Terry Fontenot, well, we hope to come out of the draft with a quarterback. I would think. I wonder if the quarterback in Atlanta isn't there yet. Like, how weird would that be? Yeah, I don't think the quarterback is here yet. Oh, yeah? Huh. That was, and then the Carolina Panthers said the same thing. Yeah, we're hoping to get a quarterback in the draft. Let me put it to you this way. Would you rather, let's play a little would you rather. Would you rather have a bad quarterback? Paul Kuharski asked me this yesterday. Would you rather draft a mediocre quarterback, a guy you're not married to, a guy you're like, yeah, he's a good player, or would you rather stick with Sam Darnold or Marcus Mariota? It's an interesting question, and I'll tell you why. Look, Andrew Luck should be able to come into the NFL and beat out Marcus Mariota, right? He should be able to come in and beat him out. Or Jared Goff in Detroit, right? Or Sam Darnold. You know, generational quarterback. If Trevor Lawrence is as good as everyone tells me, then he should be able to do that. Let's just be honest. That's what he should be able to do. But if he's not, if he's just a mediocre guy, if he's Matt Corral or he's Derek Willis or whatever the hell the guy's name is, Malik Willis, should they really be able to beat out Jared Goff, who's been in the NFL for years, who's now going to be in his second year? Should a guy be able to come in from Lion Hugh Freeze and be a starter in the NFL over a guy like Jared Goff? The answer is no. The answer is, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. He shouldn't be. But if he is, you got a serious problem. I'm not for getting married to a dude that I don't like. There's no way that Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett should be able to come in and beat out Marcus Mariota. I know they would both be going to the Falcons first time. Mariota wasn't with the Falcons last year. Obviously, Malik Willis was. But you just shouldn't be able to do that unless you're really good. So, of course, you want a quarterback. But if I'm Fontenot, the general manager of the Atlanta Falcons, or I'm the guy at Carolina, I ain't getting married to some dude. I'm making my defense better, and I am challenging my coaches as a general manager to say, all right, see you this through, and I would have it right in front of me. Head coach, you're making $3 million, $4 million, whatever. You, coordinator guy, you're making $1 million. You, quarterbacks coach. And I would have a list. And I would have a salary final. I would have like, this is the amount of money I am paying you clowns in this room to figure something out. That's what I would do. And then I would say, all right, Arthur Smith, what do you got? What do you got? I'm paying you $8 million in guys in this room. Figure it out. Well, you know, you can't win with plow horses. Yeah, well, tough. You know, then I would have like Trent Dilfer, Johnson went to the Super Bowl. I'll have all that stuff. And then I tell my general manager, you figure it out. We got to get our defense better. And if we want to get something offensively, we got to figure out how it fits with Marcus Mariota in Atlanta. That's what I would do. Because I'm not paying one of these guys that can't play, and I know he can't play. If I know he can't play and I start making excuses for him, then he really can't play. Happy late birthday, Melania Trump. I want to celebrate Melania Trump. Melania Trump was the first lady. She's the most beautiful first lady, probably the most beautiful woman in the world. My brother wasn't at an event at the White House, and he's like, Dan, I got to tell you, I love my wife, your wife, our mother, our sister, everybody. But Ivanka and Melania Trump are the most beautiful women I've ever seen in person ever. But Melania Trump couldn't go on the cover of magazines because, well, her husband. All the little dipstick Vogues and all those people, they kept telling us about Obama's wife's arms. Where'd she get those arms? Where'd she get that hairstyle? And it was all because Melania Trump was married to Donald Trump. The idiots in Hollywood, particularly Chelsea Handler, said, well, Melania Trump can't hardly speak English. No, it's because it's like her sixth language, you clowns. Sloven is a language she speaks. Serbia, my people, kakoti. She speaks 6 freaking languages, is the most beautiful woman in the world, is the best dressed woman in the world, the most stylish woman in the world. Comes from very humble beginnings, worked her way through as a model, did some tasteful nudes, which who can't respect that? You guys are nuts. We celebrate Melania Trump on this show. I know she doesn't have Michelle's arms. Oh my God, I wish Michelle would run for president. She's so cool. No, stop. You see what her brother Craig did? I've known Craig. Craig lost his mind at some middle school, allegedly, over his kids, acting like a clown, allegedly. Stop it. Just stop it. Melania Trump was the best, most elegant, best dressed, most sophisticated, smartest first lady ever. Ever. But because she didn't fit the clowns in the media, Chelsea Handler. Chelsea Handler at like 60 years old is still trying to take her top off to get relevant. Are you kidding me? Stop it. Stop it. Stop it all. Happy birthday, Melania Trump. I think if I have a show this time next year, every time I have a show and it's Melania Trump's birthday, we're going to celebrate Melania Trump. Everybody should celebrate Melania Trump. What's wrong with you peoples? What's wrong with you people? Did you see the arms on Michelle? Oh my God, I just love her new hairstyle. All the while, the most beautiful woman sitting there. But our little media guys, well, we can't put Melania on the cover of Vogue because, well, we would lose subscribers because her husband's mean. Shut up. Just shut up. Heat and the Hawks. Let's go NBA playoffs. We're all talking about Ja Morant, and we should. But the Heat and the Hawks, the only thing wrong with this is the line went down to 4.5, and the Heat were up big, and the Heat let the Hawks back in. Hawks had a chance, and Trey Young was just freaking awful. And those of you that watch this show, you understand. I had Bob Rathburn on, the voice of the Hawks, earlier in the middle of the basketball season because I'm a big fan of Trey Young, but he was horrendous. Had more turnovers than baskets. Kind of quit. You know, when it came tough, he didn't get tough. When it came hard, he didn't get hard. He went away. I got to tell you. And look, if you're looking for a favorite, if you're looking for somebody that are a team that probably should go ahead and win the East, it's probably the Heat. They have the most fanboy media. They have the most fanboy fans. But let's look at what happened yesterday. I got it right here. Victor Oladipo hadn't played but one game, gets 23. Man, Duncan Robinson, who was all the rage, couldn't make a shot. He was 0 for 5 last year. So this guy Strauss, he comes in, gets 15. Bam Adebayo, you know what he did? No. He got 20 and 11. Tyler Hero comes off the bench. He gets 16. It's a loaded team, man. Seriously, it's a loaded team. It's a team that just, you know what, let's go through it. P.J. Tucker, draft choice. Bio, draft choice. Gabe Vincent, I never heard of him. Oladipo, end of his career after injury. Strauss, non-drafted. Martin, and Dedmon, Hero. Hero was a draft choice. Duncan Robinson, not. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. If you're a basketball fan, the only thing you don't like about the Heat is they didn't cover last night. Heat are terrific. Grizzlies and Timberwolves, I don't know what to tell you because we're all talking about the dunk, right? Well, here's what happened later on. I mean, Ja Morant got completely abused on an unbelievably great, not good, great Chris Finch sideline out of bounds. It ended with Edwards with a corner three to tie it up. And then Edwards made the dumbest play. Edwards, if he stayed in college, he wouldn't make that play. He made an idiotic reach. Ja Morant got past him, went and laid it in for the win. Then Morant made free throws. But what a freaking sequence for Ja Morant. Ja Morant falls asleep, I mean dead asleep. Gets back screen, Edwards right corner, whap, whap, whap. And then Edwards, I don't even know. There's a rule in basketball, write this down if you're a coach. You only go for a steal if you are 100% sure you're going to get the steal, meaning you only go for a steal if you get the steal. What? You don't go for a steal or a reach in the last seconds and hope you get it. Coach, I thought I had a steal. You did? You did really? Yeah, me too. Go sit down. I don't know. Whatever money we lost, we made on the Suns. That was easy. There was no way the Pelicans were going to back up that big win and go into Phoenix and get the W. When I say no way, I mean no way. In fact, we ended up yesterday making money because this was automatic. We took two home favorites. We took three home favorites. We lost two of them. But the big, see, here's the deal with gambling. It isn't how many you win. It's how you bet it. So I went $50 on the first two. All right? And then I went $200 on the last game, this game, 112 to 97, because it was like a 6-point spread. And let's be honest, you weren't going back in. You were not going back in. Chris Paul was not going over. Chris Paul ended up with 22. He had a plus 10, plus minus. Ayton ended up with 19. Look, it's just Bridges at 31, Villanova guy. I don't know what to tell you. That game and this series will be over fairly quickly. And New Orleans is a fantastic story. But, it's 3-2. Phoenix got too much experience, too much backside to them, too much booty. I'm trying not to swear on this show, but they got two hands worth. You know what I mean? I like big butts and I cannot lie. That's what they got. They got some to them. You got to have some to you. You can't be flat. You got to have some gravitas. And that's what the Suns have, and that's what the Heat have. Now, we're going to find out tonight if that's what Philadelphia has. Yeah, I don't think so. Philadelphia's children. There's no one worse to ruin your team than James Harden. James Harden should go do this. James Harden should finish this season, these 2 games, game whatever, and just go be a party guy. Go be a Kardashian. Show up at parties. You got the beard, you got the cool, you got the look. You don't want to be part of a team. You don't want to really win. When it gets to blank cutting time, you always go away. Always. Not even close. James Harden, as we used to say, we'll see ya. That's right. That's right. When we used to play knockout at my basketball camps, everybody had to yell, "What that? Oh, that embarrassed the children." Good. Kids need to be embarrassed once in a while. All right, when we come back, we're counting it down from 10 to 1. I'm curious your thoughts. If you hit me up on Twitter, I'll probably read your tweet. But I want to hear your thoughts. The 10 most important, not the best, the 10 most important people in the NFL as we head to the draft. This is not general managers. I'm not talking about GMs. I'm not talking about coaches. I'm strictly talking about players. The 10 most important players in the NFL from 10th to 1st. It might surprise you, but I'm going to make a case for each when we come back. All right, let's talk some real NFL here. Let's not mess around. So the NFL always has these lists, right? There's always a list. There's the top 10 general managers, which our guy in Indianapolis, who's 42-42, seems to win, right? Top 20 quarterbacks of all time. Top 50 this, top 20 that. Okay, all right. By the way, there's currently a debate going on in the YouTube chat whether Melania Trump or Nancy Pelosi is hotter. Nancy Pelosi's face just moved. It just carries her sometimes, like there's a critter in there that just, anyway. I think we're in good shape there with saying Melania Trump. All right, top 10 most important. I'm not saying the best, and I'm not saying this guy, he's more important to have on my team. I'm just saying most important to the NFL and maybe to their team. Just important. Number 10. Number 10. I hate to even put this guy in any list. Deshaun Watson of the Cleveland Browns. He actually might become the most important player. Why, Dan? I want you to think about this. The NFL has been, when there is video, pretty tough on sexual abuse. You know what I mean? Like, they have been pretty tolerant, pretty tough on things. Ray Rice never played again, that kind of thing. They haven't been crazy. You know, you got Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt. But you've got 22 women that have come forward with a civil case that hasn't been rectified yet. Got 18 more, I believe, in the next couple of days Deshaun Watson is going to have to answer for. So Deshaun Watson gets traded. Deshaun Watson signs a big money deal in Cleveland. Everybody's quiet in Cleveland. Nobody's saying a word. I don't hear from the women's groups. I don't hear from nobody. The only person I heard from was Jim Tomey's wife, the Hall of Famer. All right. So if Deshaun Watson is able to beat the rap of a civil case, sign a multi-bazillion dollar deal, and play opening day, he might become the most important player in the NFL because now there is a baseline for conduct that has been reestablished. Remember my theory? It's not a theory, actually. It's the right word. I don't know. Remember this from the voice of experience. When we lower standards, people will hit them. Period. They will smash them. They will crush them. They will break right through them. And when and if the NFL in this era of social justice and being afraid, particularly white dudes, it'll be interesting because in baseball, Trevor Bauer has one woman after him. It got thrown out of court like Watson, and he still can't play. Now, every situation's different. But if Watson is able to collect his money from last year, act like nothing's happened, go play in Cleveland, sign a big deal, and oh, by the way, right now, he is practicing, then he becomes the most important player in the NFL. Curt Flood in baseball started free agency. Deshaun Watson and the chicken blank response to Deshaun Watson sets a new tone in NFL behavior. So I'm putting him on the list right now at 10, but I reserve the right to move him up. Number 9, Micah Parsons, the stud rookie linebacker of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's make no mistake about this. Don't even try to at me. I hate the Cowboys. You watch. I can't stand the Cowboys. You watch. I watch. I'm not going to lie to you. When the Carolina Panthers play the Jacksonville Jaguars, I don't watch. When the Philadelphia Eagles play a random game against the Atlanta Falcons, I don't watch. Pretty much when the Dallas Cowboys play, don't know why, I watch. Micah Parsons is the next big thing in the NFL defensively. Not the biggest, might be the quickest, might be the smartest, might be the toughest, don't know. But he has changed positions. He's changed the game because of his speed, his quickness, and his versatility. When you do that, you fall on any top 10 list. He came out of Penn State, and man, oh man, did he have an impact. Cowboys still the Cowboys. It's a train wreck, and I'll get to that and Dak Prescott in a minute. But the truth of the matter is, Micah Parsons, because he plays for the Cowboys, because he's got a great personality, and mostly because he is a generational type defender at a position where you need generational type defenders, he has major impact. So in my world, Micah Parsons is in anybody's top 10. He might be, well, probably is, in anybody's top 10 players. Deshaun Watson, not a chance. Deshaun Watson is not in anybody's top 10 players. I mean, the dude went 4-12, fumbled on goal lines. To quote a good friend of mine, stop it, stupid. Just stop it. That. But I'll tell you this, Micah Parsons, a bad guy. Number 8, bad man. And I mean that in a good way. You always have to rectify things because I know the Indy Star is watching, and any little slip, we could have a problem. Josh Allen, number 8. Now, why isn't he higher? Hey, man, Bills Mafia. Josh Allen's going to the Super Bowl. All right, maybe. But he ain't more important to the league than the first 7 that I have. Josh Allen, it's a big year. You want to be a superstar in the NFL. You have a coming out party. You struggle a little bit as a rookie. He put some tweets out 100 years ago that everybody lost their mind over. Next thing you know, he plays well, plays better. Coming out party, left a little too, let's be honest, he just didn't get the ball in overtime. All right? But now, you got to come back after an off season where you the man. Big expectations, more national exposure. A year ago, nobody would have ever put Josh Allen into one of those matches in golf, right? Mickelson and Rodgers, Brady, DeChambeau last year. Well, now Josh Allen is in there. Now it's not just cute that a bunch of drunk idiots jump on tables and call themselves, we're the Bills Mafia. Mafia this. Anyway, so Josh Allen has to perform. And he doesn't just have to perform at a level. He got to perform at a high level. He got to go through Belichick, through Mahomes. Now, I don't care whether or not he goes through Mahomes, but this is a time, if you're going to be a guy, a Super Bowl is in the offing. And let's also be honest, as much as I make fun of the Bills Mafia, it is pretty funny, it is interesting, and they are a devoted fan base. So Josh Allen is number 8, most important. Maybe if I do this again next year, he ranks if he wins a Super Bowl. If he gets to a Super Bowl. But right now, it's an important year, interesting year. One of the hardest things to do in sports, handle success. It's the first time Josh Allen has been a national guy. Great regional guy. Great city guy, national guy right now. Number 7, and truthfully, if he were really good, he'd be higher. Dak Prescott. Let me tell you why Dak Prescott is in the top 10. He's a quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. It's pretty much it. Oh man, Dak sucks. Okay, Dak sucks. But when you turn on Greenberg's show every morning, or you turn on Good Morning Football, or you turn on whatever that show is with Floria, or you turn on any show that talks football, you know who they talk about? They talk about Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, and whether Mike McCarthy's been fired or not. It's part of the Aaron Rodgers discussion. So I'm telling you, you can like him, you can dislike him, but the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys is an important guy. Think about this. Tony Romo. Was Tony Romo a great quarterback? No. He's quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Is Tony Romo a great announcer? No. Started out really good. Started telling you plays that were going to happen before they happen, which is what you're supposed to do. And now he's horrible. Now you watch him and it's like, oh. It's the same thing in his playing career. He was good enough, right? He was good enough. Who did he beat out? Beat out a pretty good quarterback. Oh, no, Dak Prescott beat out Romo. Fine. Yeah. Guys start out well with the Cowboys. Romo was good early. Romo was good as a quarterback early. Romo was good as an announcer early, and then water found its level. Prescott, monster numbers, but he always gets hurt. Not always, but he gets hurt. Or he starts playing poorly. Or the Cowboys underachieve. And as the head coach and quarterback, then you're on every morning show every day because the Cowboys are that important. So Dak Prescott is 7th. Should be higher. Should be. Isn't, because they just haven't won enough. I don't know. Yeah, Romo played with the Cowboys, looked like Brett Favre, and then by the end he was fumbling snaps. They couldn't get in the playoffs. Prescott came in, and away you go. And now Romo, let's be honest. Oh, man, Romo's the greatest announcer. Did you really listen to him? Yeah, he told us every play that happened. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. I think he's great on TV commercials. Love the Skechers. Terrific on the Corona. Whoever did it in college basketball, not near. Or college football, I forget. No. Number 6, Cooper Kupp. Why Cooper Kupp, you say? Well, Cooper Kupp is going to be the next monster payment in the NFL. Right now, because of Stephon Diggs, you're seeing wide receivers paid at a quarterback level. Never thought I would see that. Never. And who's the best of all these wide receivers? Hey, the best is usually the guy that's on your team that you like, right? I really like, I think Michael Pittman's the greatest quarterback in the history of, okay, great. Really? You do? Oh, well, I live in Indy, man. I think so. Oh, okay, great. No, Cooper Kupp's a bad, 1,900 yards. The improvement of 1,000 yards from where he was to where he is with Stafford? Are you kidding me? He's revolutionizing the wide receiver position and is going to take the salary structure, I think, to a monster level. And anytime you do that, you have to be one of the most important people in the league. Quarterbacks are the most important, and then I think edge rushers, then I think left tackles, and then put it wide receiver and corner. At wide receiver, when you got a guy that can completely change the game, like Cooper Kupp has and did in the Super Bowl, you got an important guy. I think we all saw that Matt Stafford is kind of a jackass, the way he handled that woman that fell down. He won, so we all like him, but he's kind of a jackass, let's be honest. Cooper Kupp, he quiet. He goes about his business. I don't think you're going to see any diva. I put him 6th most important because I think he's changing the position. Could be wrong. 5th, and he might end up 1st. I got a lot of guys that might end up 1st. A lot of guys. This guy just might. Deebo Samuel. Here's why Deebo Samuel might end up 1st. Deebo Samuel, the news comes out, he wants to be traded. Guess what? And I heard this from a very good source. Not most, every team in the league made a phone call or an inquiry either to San Francisco or to Samuel's agent. You think that happens all the time. It doesn't. Every team is looking for a Deebo Samuel, a guy that he's a 2-for-1. He can run it, he can catch it. He's 3-for-1. He can run it, he can catch it, he can run it after he catches it. Might be a 4-for-1 if he can block. Hell, can he throw it? I don't know. But Deebo Samuel, to me, he's the guy that everybody in the NFL is focused on getting, even though there's a draft coming up. Here we are in Indianapolis. We got a Deebo Samuel. We just got a dumb coach. Frank Reich, my backside. Nyheim Hines is Deebo Samuel. Nyheim Hines can run it. He did last year, 300-some yards. He can catch it. he did last year, 300 some yards. He can run it after he catches it, and he's got Olympic speed. But our coaches at Indianapolis don't know their backside from third base. Wait, is this my backside or is this third base? It's got a dimple. Deebo Samuel, whenever you're somebody everybody wants, when your skill set is what everybody wants, then you the man. Then you are the top, in the top 5, most important. You know who most of the top 5 are. They're mostly quarterbacks, but I said mostly. There's one in there that isn't. All right, number 4. Probably should be higher, but I'm a little tired of Aaron Rodgers. I'm a little tired of Aaron Rodgers. I get it. You know, he's older. He's an older statesman. He drinks his scotch. Aaron Rodgers could really use a Super Bowl. And that's so unfair. So incredibly unfair. Seriously. I mean, do you know how hard it is to get to the Super Bowl? Do you know how much work goes in? Not only you, the scouts, the general manager, the coaching staff, the position coaches, the assistant to the position coaches, the guys on the field. And I think you multiply it by 3 to 5 playing in Green Bay. I just do. Now you're playing for an organization that has never drafted a wide receiver during your career. Now you've lost your best wide receiver in Adams. I don't know. But as a personality, Aaron Rodgers should probably be second. But I think the 2 guys that are ahead of him, the first guy is undeniable, number 1. But Aaron Rodgers could really use a Super Bowl. The thing about Aaron Rodgers is he's kind of a career maker. You know, Mike McCarthy wins a Super Bowl. It's the only reason his fat ass is sitting right there with Jerry Jones and Jerry Jones' son as I turn on Get Up. And, of course, the Dallas Cowboys are being talked about because that's the most popular team. And Mike McCarthy right there is being talked about. And they have the 24th pick. It's not like they have the first pick or 5th pick. They're just always talked about. And Aaron Rodgers made Mike McCarthy. We're going to see if Aaron Rodgers has made any of these wide receivers. I would argue that Aaron Rodgers coming after Brett Favre is the greatest follow-up act in the history of football. You can give me others, but let me tell you something. People are smart. People know that you don't have to go to the football game anymore. You can watch it on your Monster TV with your beer right there. But they go every day. They fill up Lambeau Field. We take it for granted. What would happen if they went 7-10? What would happen if they went 5-12, 4-13? I don't know. Would you still sit out there in the freezing? Aaron Rodgers has taken it from here, made it here, and kept everything in Green Bay. Probably should be up higher. Number 3, one of the reasons Aaron Rodgers isn't up higher is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is really, in many ways, the non-Tom Brady face of football. Patrick Mahomes, with a little bit of this, with a little bit of that, has changed the dynamic of football. I was talking to Sean Salisbury, who is the best, I believe, or at least I've heard, quarterback trainer in the country. Kids come from all over. And Sean talks about it. Of course, kids want to make those throws, the no-look pass. Of course they do. But when Sean talks, he goes, look, we got to teach that now because guys doing it, think about this. You used to watch a quarterback's eyes, and next thing you know, you're throwing it to the right side as I'm looking left. It's important to be able to do. Why is it important to be able to do? Because Patrick Mahomes and now others have made it important to do. Patrick Mahomes' success, fantastic. You know, has he won every Super Bowl? No, he's won 1 Super Bowl, been to a couple, been MVP. When you turn on the TV, you turn it on to see Patrick Mahomes. And by all accounts, unlike his D-bag brother, Patrick Mahomes is a great dude. Having Patrick Mahomes as the face of the NFL, which he probably will be a year from now, is utterly fantastic. His team is always good. His team is always entertaining. He always conducts himself well. And he's young enough that he appeals and has kind of a cool smile about him that he appeals to people. I don't think anybody would argue. I don't think anybody would argue that Patrick Mahomes as a third player, in the top 5. You can argue these however you want. But I'm just telling you, I think Patrick Mahomes is one of those guys that will be the face of this league if he isn't already. All right, let's go to number 2, Aaron Donald. What? Here's why I say Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald, when I watched the parade after the Super Bowl, when I watched him on the field after the Super Bowl, I said to myself, this is the Tom Brady of linemen. Here's what I mean by that. When Aaron Donald walks into the room, and that room can be the conference room with the entire team, that room could be just the defense, or that room could be just the defensive lineman. That room could also be a boardroom in LA, New York, Chicago, Stad, I don't care. Aaron Donald commands your attention. And he does it with a quiet confidence. He does it with a quiet sincerity. Now, that is massive. That is uber important. You want to know the reason Kevin Garnett never really took off until now, kind of as an OG? Because when they won a championship, he acted like an idiot. He started screaming like a fool on national TV. People are like, great, it's a 12-year-old. Aaron Donald wins a world championship, and he's with his kids, rips off his shirt at the parade, so he shows that he's fun, has a quiet, I will straighten this out, my team will be good air about him that I absolutely love and respect. Never met the man. He's one of the few people in sports that I do hope to meet. I think that much of him because he's sincere. He's a badass player. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, he is a bad, bad man. I mean, Aaron Donald can go get it done. When you ask NFL folk about who is the number 1 defensive Ambien player, meaning I got to pop 3 Ambiens to sleep before I play this guy, that guy is Aaron frickin' Donald. And then he showed what a great time he is by ripping off his shirt. And oh, by the way, when I saw what he was packing underneath that shirt, I don't want him hitting me. So I'm playing nice. I am. But I think he's the second most important person in the NFL. I really do. I think the first and the most important player in the NFL is Tom Brady. Let me explain something to you. The NFL is year-round. And the NFL isn't year-round because the analysts on your TV stations are that interesting. They're not. The NFL is year-round because we love the game of the NFL. And nobody impacted the game over the last however many years than Tom Brady. Let me tell you about what I wanted in Indy when they were looking for a quarterback. They ended up with Phillip Rivers. Fine. Phillip Rivers was Tom Brady light. I said this, Tom Brady walks into your city, you become a football city. Indianapolis is not a football city. Indianapolis thinks, and I say this all the time, that cap space and draft choices as described to them by 12-year-olds in the media make your football team. They call it nuanced. It's nuanced. You wouldn't understand. Fine. You know what I do understand? One thing and one thing only in the NFL, winning. That's it. You got 17 games. I don't care if you do it with the first pick in the draft. I don't care if you do it with a free agent from Guam. Don't care. Well, you know, their draft choices weren't very good. Well, you know, I don't care. They just went 12-5 and got to the Super Bowl. Well, you know, we don't have much cap space. You know what we did? We went, I don't know, and got Von Miller. We went, I don't know, and got Odell Beckham. We went, I don't know, and won the frickin' Super Bowl. That's cap space. You know, here in Indianapolis, we've won. Man, the Colts have won a ton. I mean, a ton of games. I mean, going back in the 2000s, like decades, Colts had the most win. Nobody really knows that. You know what they know? They won one Super Bowl. Beat the Bears in the Super Bowl. Lost to the Saints in the Super Bowl. Hank Bassett, before he was dating or before he broke up with Kendra, dropped an onside kick to start the second half. Somehow in the rudimentary world of Indianapolis media and fans, they think that cost the Colts a Super Bowl. Well, Peyton Manning certainly throwing a pick six to the kid from Indiana, Porter, may have had a little more to do with it, but I digress. All I want is wins, W's. When Tom Brady walks into the building, everybody straightens up, and I'm talking about the owner, the GM, the scouts, everybody. Nobody sits back, relaxes, because Tom Brady has that cachet that says, hey, look, quit screwing around, we're going to win. And it ain't even close. Everybody says Peyton Manning had that great, but you can put Peyton Manning way down compared to where Tom Brady is with it. And oh, by the way, I don't know if you noticed this. I think it was Sunday. Yeah, there really wasn't a whole lot on. I had just gotten back from Chicago. I turned on the TV. I was going to go outside and mow the grass, that kind of thing. And you know what was on one after the other on ESPN? The man in the arena, Tom Brady. They basically devoted an entire afternoon of television to Tom Brady. It was a Brady commercial. It was. So don't tell me Tom Brady's not the most important player in the NFL. And it ain't even close. Him coming back, you know what everybody did? They went like this. Hey, do we play Tampa? Secondary market. Boom. Tampa come to town? Not even close. If he walked in, look, I got Larry, Jason, Nick, Ed, MRC. I got all you guys right now in the freaking chat room here. I got all of you in the chat room. And all of you, if Tom Brady walked in the chat room, you all would straighten up. Nick Chaplin, you wouldn't be calling me names. Eric Flagg, you wouldn't be making fun of Russell Wilson. You guys would be like this in the chat room. All you guys would be straightening up right there. Tom Brady walks in. Oh, God. Hey, Dan, this is from Larry Callis. Dan, love you and your show. My kids went to Andrean. We sat next to you at Wrigley 10 years ago, talked baseball. Even though the game was good, that was better. I hope your show lasts longer than prior with the Cubs. I agree. No. Brady is old hat. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, Outkick just jumped. Straighten up, you people. Outkick just jumped on the YouTube chat. How's my shirt? Like a guy, a legendary baseball player who became a bit of a friend of mine, Moose Skowron. Look him up. One of the greatest dudes of all time. He played with the Yankees with DiMaggio. He was telling Coach Knight and I one day he was going out to dinner with Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio. Said he shaved 3 times that day. He was so nervous. Said I had to go out and buy a suit. It wasn't good enough. I saw another one. I returned the one suit and bought a better suit. Shaved 3 times, bought the best suit to go out with Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe. That's Tom Brady. You guys, you know what you would do? Thank you. I love Delaware, Ohio, too. I know exactly where it is. Drove through there on my way to Bowling Green from Columbus. I'm telling you right now, you know this to be true. Sean Black, you know this. I know. Hey, Dan, I want to throw trophies with the GOAT. That made you love him more. He had the best tequila. I told you yesterday, buy the best tequila. All right, it's Wednesday. Hey, YouTube chat. Hey, Twitter. I got some what the hells, and the first one is completely out of this world. You will not believe the what the hell that I'm going to hit you with from numero uno when we come back. YouTube chat. It's Brady. Straighten up over there. It's Wednesday, which means it's What the Hell Wednesday, which means we got some crazy blank people. And by the way, you guys that are on the YouTube chat, make sure if you see a What the Hell Wednesday, or anybody out there in the Twitterverse, if you see a What the Hell Wednesday, something that's totally whacked out, that you're like, the hell is this? Don't be afraid to send it to me, and I'll probably use it. Because the world is full of nut jobs. Yeah, I'm sorry. It just is. And the truth of the matter is, they're all over the place. Now, there's a couple cool things in this What the Hell Wednesday, but the first one stopped me in my tracks. Like, this is from the New York Post. I love the New York Post. You guys may not see, the New York Post is one of those things where you go, yeah, well, that tells me a lot about you. You learned about it from the New York Post. Yeah, baby. Fiction sexual man married hologram bride but struggles to bond with her. There is a picture of this dude. You'll see it here in a minute. There's a picture of this dude who calls himself fictosexual, which means he loves himself some holograms, I guess. This kid's name is Akingo Kondo. He was dating Hatsune Miku, depicted in pop culture as a 16-year-old with turquoise hair. They dated for a decade before they had an unofficial wedding ceremony. Kondo, who's the dude in this picture, is one of many who identifies himself as fictosexual, or someone who is sexually attracted to fictional characters. He spent about $17,300 on the nuptials. His family said, no, idiot, we ain't coming. He's struggling now after being married for 4 years. He said his relationship has hit a roadblock. He can no longer speak with Miku due to technological hurdles. He acknowledged that his relationship may be odd. He understands Miku isn't a real person, but it doesn't change his feelings for her. He fell in love in 2008. He interacted for the first time in 2017 thanks to Gatebox, a $1,300 machine that allowed device owners to interact with characters via holograms and even unofficially married them. His 4-year marriage took a turn when support for Gatebox software was eliminated, meaning Kondo could no longer speak with his wife, Miku. My love for Miku hasn't changed. He now carries around a life-size version. I held the wedding ceremony because I thought I could be with her forever. And I got to tell you, there's a show called 30 Rock. 30 Rock is the best show ever. And it's got one of those guys, one of these Hollywood guys, John Franco, who falls in love with a life-size bed pillow named Minko or something like this. And he has to have a fake relationship with the star of the show, Liz Lemon, Tina Fey, because he doesn't want the media to know that he's really in love with his pillow. That's what the hell. That'd be like Nick being married to a teddy bear. Hey, who you marrying today? I don't know. I thought I'd marry Bertha the teddy bear. Look, we all talk about, hey, what's that girl's name on Scooby-Doo? She was hot. Joan Jetson or Janet Jetson or one of the Jetsons was hot. But that's just in conversation when you're like 12. I'm not marrying her, spending $17K on a wedding, carrying around a hologram. I don't even know what a hologram is, but I ain't doing it. This next one. See, there's a couple ways to go about what the hell. One of the ways is to go, what the hell? What the hell are you doing here, Kondo? I don't know if you know this, but you're married to a freaking stuffed animal. He stayed in his room for 24 hours a day watching videos of Miku. There's that. And then there's this. You got to watch this. This is incredibly cool. This is a moon rising. And if you don't think this is cool, I got nothing for you. I mean, this is, I don't know. This is unbelievable. No, this is incredible. Let's show it. We got it? It also may be fake. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's fake. I don't know, but I sure like it. Yeah, it could be fake, and I'm cool with it being fake. Doesn't matter to me. Whoever made the video, I don't know. It says this: the moon is in the North Pole where the day lasts 24 hours and the moon appears only 30 seconds completely and blocks the sun for 5 seconds and then disappears. People saying this is fake are just not well traveled. I've been there. All right. Hey, I don't know. No idea. I don't know. But I think whoever did that video, that's some pretty smart stuff. Guys on the YouTube chat are saying it's fake. Velma, yeah, from the Jetsons. Lois Griffin, hot. And Lois Griffin would do it. Yeah, she would. Anyway, I don't care whether it's fake or not. Probably is. But I think it's a pretty damn cool thing to see. I think it's one of those things where you go, man, how cool is that? I think it's really cool. I'll tell you what's not cool. This has never happened to me. And I hope it never happens to you. Because if it happens to you, I honest to God don't know how you recover from this. I don't. Let me give this to you. Just a headline. A woman trying to retrieve dropped cell phone falls into a toilet tank. Now, this is in Washington. Brennan Fire Department responded to a vault toilet near Mount Walker parking lot where a woman was reportedly trapped in the commode tank. She was in her 40s. She dropped her phone into the toilet, fell in while trying to retrieve it. She was unable to get out on her own and called 911. They passed her pieces of wood to build a platform, allowing them to rescue her. She was washed down at the site. She wasn't injured. They said, hey, look, you might want to get medical attention because the human waste wasn't yours. That's my face. I think it's the only face that I can give you. I don't think I can give you any other. That's all I got. So you're sitting there, you're in the commode, you're in the toilet. Just picture a nasty, I don't know, Indy 500, a construction site toilet. And you're in it. And you at least you found the phone, right? And you made a call, can't get out. Now I wonder, did she go under her head? Did it get in her mouth? Get in her eyes? I got to tell you, I used to be very good at changing a baby's diaper. I had no problem with it. But one of my biggest fears in life is that. Like, I don't think about it. I'll give you a story. I got a story for everything. So my ex-wife and I, my wife at the time, we go to like this spa, supposed to be a Calistoga, supposed to have this mineral water. And it's a spa. Women go that way, men go this way. And there's a whole lot of things you do, included a mud bath. So you get in this really nice brick tub. And it's got a pillow and all that. And I'm sitting in the mud bath. And then my brain starts working. Man, the last time they cleaned out this mud bath. The last time. You think they clean it every day? I mean, there's a lot of mud. Think they clean it every day? I don't think they clean it every day. And then, of course, the brain really gets working. What's in this mud? How would you know the difference between somebody, in the mud and the mud? I had to get out. And from that point on, I don't ever think of going into something without thinking about that. And this woman falling into that vat. No. I refuse. I don't even have the words. It's so gross. And look, I'm a gross guy. I am not afraid of being gross. All right, last one. Now, there's some idiots in this world. And, and don't tell me just cat people, because you dog people are insane too. But a woman married her cat to get around pet-hating landlords. Deborah Hodge was, she had 3 cats over the years. Her landlords were mad. They didn't want cats, so she had to rehome them. All right? But she was terrified of being made to part with her precious cat, India. Now, India was like her support cat. She had lost her job as a, quote, life coach. I think this is a solid piece of advice. Don't go to a life coach that marries their cat. I never thought I'd have to say that, but it seems reasonable to me. If I'm going to go to a life coach, it's going to be one that isn't even, in the process or the thought process of marrying their frickin' cat. Anyway, so if she can't pay her next rent, she might be evicted. Once again, have to go through the trouble of finding a pet-friendly landlord. That's when the mom of 2 got the idea. She's a mother. Got the idea that if they were married, it would show any future landlord just how important it is for them to stay together. So Deborah was decked out in a tuxedo. She tied the knot with India at a civil ceremony presided over by her legally ordained friend. So this woman decided, I'm going to go get married to a cat. She did it in front of her family and friends in London. She's unemployed from Sidcup. She said India the cat is fundamentally the most important thing in her life except for her kids. I refuse to part with her. I'd rather live on the streets than be without her. She was forced to give up 2 huskies in a previous place, but her landlord said, if you married a cat, you can live here. I assumed the landlord was just joking, so what'd this idiot do? She married her cat. Maybe it's a beautiful gesture. Maybe idiot's too strong. My bad. Fundamentally, I think marrying a cat is idiotic. I think a lot of you would agree. Outkick on our YouTube chat says never go to a life coach. Man, do I agree with that. Now, if I'm going to give you life advice, certainly take what you'd like and discard the rest. But it ain't ever going to be to marry a hologram. It ain't ever going to be to marry a cat. Don't marry a cat. Can we at least agree that we should only really marry humans? Seems reasonable. I don't care what anybody's telling me. Men can't get pregnant, and we should only marry humans. Outkick on YouTube. You guys in the chat room, tell me I'm not right about that. Tell me that men can get pregnant. Men cannot get pregnant, and you shouldn't marry anything other than a human. Solid. Argue with me all you want. Call me whatever you'd like to call me. I do not care, because I think that is the best advice you're going to get all day. I do. It doesn't seem like I have to give you that advice. Tanner, Dan, what about a human who identifies as a cat? I don't know. I'm not sure. Jim Reed thinks that Richard Gere married a gerbil. I don't think what they did was marriage. At least what I heard they did. I don't think that that's marriage. No. What Richard Gere and others have done with a gerbil or a phone or a flashlight or a pen, that ain't marriage. It might be love. It might be love. But that ain't marriage, people. Come on. A little respect. A little respect for the institution of marriage. Man. Hey, you know what? Hey, Mom, I got to tell you. The world's different now, Mom. It's different. I just want to say that. It's different. But I think that I have fallen in love with my cat. And Mom, if not my cat, I really dig this hologram. I'm sorry, but look at her. Hot as hell. Mom, how can you deny me love of a hologram? How can you deny me love of an inanimate object? I don't know. Let's do some fades. I'm actually changing because I've become so good at gambling that this segment is going to be called Who You Should Bet On. It's that simple. Who you should bet on. Tonight, I know that in the world that I live in, the Mets, the East Coast is big, right? The Mets spend a lot of money. The Mets are 14-5. The Cardinals are 9-7. You can get good value on the Cardinals tonight. Carlos Carrasco is pitching tonight. All right. Last night, the Cardinals, they got shut out by the Mets. Now, here's the way baseball works. Baseball works this way. The Cardinals have lost 3 in a row. They ain't losing 4 in a row. You bet on franchises sometimes. You do. I'm sorry. Sometimes you say to yourself, this is a very good team. Steven Matz is pitching. I'm a big fan. I like him. I don't love him. I like him. I think he's good. I think sometimes he's really good. Game's at 115. I'm taking a team that has lost 3 or 4 in a row that has a ton of pride in their organization. That's how I look at betting now. I used to go, well, you know, they were 6-9 in their last 15. Well, you know, and I'll give you all the stats. No, we're not doing that. What we're doing is this. We're going to give you this. I like their pitcher. I like the fact that Matz is good. I think Matz is one of those guys that can stop a bad streak. I think all right, let me go through his numbers with you. 13, I don't even know what numbers you guys use anymore. 13 and 2/3 innings. He's given up 8 earned runs. His whip is 1.61. That's what's got to come down. He's got to get to where Mikolas is, under 1. If he's going to continue to walk people, this is going to be bad. But he's not going to continue to walk people. He's going to strike people out. He will strike you out. I like strikeout pitchers. I think strikeout pitchers, let me put it to you this way. The soft tossing lefty, I got 2 words for you, my backside. I don't want to hear from a soft tossing lefty. No. Take the Cardinals, it's at 115, and we're going to win some money. Next one, Warriors -9. Here's the deal with the Warriors. The Nuggets got themselves a win at home against the Warriors. The Warriors then were called very beatable by the Nuggets. Now look, let's be honest. Nuggets my backside. If you had Jamal Murray, I'd say wait, maybe. But you don't disrespect the Warriors. Here's why. The Warriors show that they're listening. You guys, there are some teams that aren't listening. LeBron James, all over social media, he's listening. You don't say that about a team that's listening. You don't say that about a group of guys that are up here in terms of professionalism and, frankly, are healthy. You just don't do it. Do not do that. Don't do that to Sacramento. Do that somewhere else. Don't do it to the Warriors. Warriors will win this tonight by double digits. The only thing that scares me about 9 is a late bucket, and a late bucket scares everybody that takes a team giving points. They just do. It just does. This one, though, I actually went back and forth with because 12 is a big number. The Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Chicago Bulls. Chicago Bulls are decimated. Chicago Bulls had a chance this weekend with Middleton out at home to play. They didn't. They got belly whomped. 30 points on Friday, another 20 plus on Saturday, or Sunday, excuse me. No shot. Now Zach LaVine, who's averaging about 20, he's out. Look, the 12 points is a lot. It may not hit, but I'm going to bet this game because I think the Bucks are professional like the Warriors. I think the Bucks understand rest in the playoffs. I think the Bucks want to just get this series over. We're not going to mess around with this team anymore. We've got bigger fish to fry. So I don't know if the Chicago Bulls don't come out and play really well in the first half. No idea. But I know there's going to be a point in this game, and it might be from the start. Not sure. But I know there's going to be a point where this game gets taken out to the 20s, whatever it is, and it ends up staying there. I don't anticipate it being 35 or anything like that, but I anticipate this being a pretty comfortable win for the Bucks because, one, the Bucks are a better team. Maybe if the Bulls had Lonzo Ball, maybe if the Bulls had LaVine, maybe if the Bulls were healthy, I don't know, maybe. With Middleton out, this would have been a better scene for Chicago. But the truth of the matter is, they are out. The truth of the matter is, the Bucks are the champs. The truth of the matter is, the Bucks seem to be playing with a hunger and a toughness, and they got the Greek Freak, who I think in these playoffs has emerged, absolutely emerged, as the best basketball player in the world. Certainly the most unstoppable. And when you got that, you got a hell of a chance. So I'm going to take that. Last night, but it depends how you want to bet it. If you were going to say to me, Dan, how are you going to bet this? I talked about this earlier. This is the most important thing in gambling. How are you going to bet it? Last night, I lost 2 or 3, but I won money because I went small on the first 2 once I saw Jimmy Butler out, and then I went bigger last night on the Suns, so we won some money. I don't know. Tonight's a tough one. The game that I like the most, I like the most is not Chicago. The game that I like the most, who the hell is it? Where'd my papers go? How did I lose my papers? Hey, Cashman. What do I do with my papers? Oh, yeah. The game I like the most is the Warriors. So I'm going to bet that bigger. I'll put a little something on the Cardinals just because it's an afternoon game and I want something to do while I'm doing a show. I'll put more on the Warriors and then maybe even more, actually, on the Bucks. I think the Bucks are going to roll. I do. I think the Bucks are going to roll. Oh. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're right. We shall see what we shall see. All right, we're going to get back into some draft talk. I don't know if you know who Trey Wallace is, but if you read Outkick, you certainly know. Trey Wallace knows the SEC like I know fashion. Yeah, he knows it really, really well. We're going to get into some SEC trade talk. Stay right here. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been great. We've had great, not good. We've had great time over here. True story, had a female employee, had to fill out a form in case they got killed on the job. She wrote Snooky, a dog in the state, in the space for her name, and then for her social security number, she wrote, dogs don't have a social security number. She was 42. I had to write her up once. People told me, you know she's a gun? You know she has a gun. Well, I don't want to write up anybody that has a gun. How about we just be people? Be right back. Look, there's nobody that covers the SEC better than Trey Wallace covers it for Outkick. And if you want to follow him, which is a great follow, by the way, at Trey, Trey Wallace, that's it, underscore. At Trey Wallace underscore is a great, not a good, a great fun. I'm going to get into two things that I didn't have on the rundown with you, Trey. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it, bud.
Mark Emmert stepping down. Is the real commissioner or the real head of the NCAA matter anymore? And is the real commissioner the guy who runs the SEC? Isn't that who's really the commish here?
I mean, Dan, it kind of feels like that over the last number of years with Greg Sankey is who we're talking about, the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference. And you look at what Mark Emmert has done. It's interesting that he decided to, well, I don't know if he decided to, the board and him agreed to mutually separate, but he had just signed a contract extension about a year ago today. So it's you know, how things have played out over the last year. I think name, image, and likeness in college athletics has really taken the NCAA, and they're like, okay, wait a minute, we need somebody else to take us into this next generation of what we're doing when it comes to college athletics. And look, the amount of heat Mark Emmert has taken over the last number of years, I don't know how he's been able to sustain it. I don't know how the NCAA has sat back and said, okay, you know, we're going to let him deal with all this, make some of these asinine comments that he makes, and kind of move on with it. I thought it was the timing to me didn't feel far off. It kind of felt like they were going to move in a different direction when it came to Mark Emmert. Now, this soon, okay, that's another story. But I just feel like he has not been in control of what's going on involving the whole NCAA for a long time now. And you know, Dan, when you have commissioners like Greg Sankey, you got Commissioner Warren in the Big Ten, you know, I just feel like they are running the show, and Mark Emmert was sitting back and saying, okay, you guys do what you need to do. I'll come in when the time is right. It's just been a cluster ever since, you know, I think in the last year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people, he's on the wrong side of the media, makes a lot of money. He said some dumb things. The Kansas City Jayhawks comes to mind here a minute ago. All right, I'm going to move on from that. You had a story about something that I think baseball pranks are always, not always, but mostly funny. I mean, baseball has known itself, whether you prank your own team, whether you prank the other team. However, I don't think paint thinner should go in an opposing team's Gatorade cooler. And apparently that's what happened here to Kansas Wesleyan. Give me the story and give me your take on what's going down here.
That was pretty wild. I think we've all seen some pranks go down in locker rooms or baseball fields, whatnot. Yeah, we've kind of seen it. But, you know, what this one kind of stood out to me because it was like, okay, you know, they took that picture of it and it looked awkward to begin with. And then come to find out, you know, the home team at these small town schools are the one that has to, you know, fill the water jugs, handle things when other schools come in to play games. And so you look at this one and, you know, a police report was filed. You know, they probably had a couple sips, Dan, and they were like, okay, this tastes kind of funny. And then they finally opened the jug up and they realized, okay, there's some weird substances in here. So they filed a police report. They have, you know, battery is one of the charges that could be levied against whoever if they found them guilty. But man, we've seen some stupid stuff in the past when it comes to pranks and whatnot, but this kind of goes to a different level. And it didn't, you know, I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Is this real? And come to find out it was. And you've got a lot of pissed off people that are involved with Kansas Wesleyan College, which is an NAIA school in baseball right now. And you know what? I would be too. There's 8 different victims in the police report that was obtained by Outkick late yesterday afternoon. And I don't think this one's going away anytime soon. And it's just stupid. Why put yourself out there where you can get in trouble legally for a damn baseball game? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, all right. So Bethany College was the visitor, right? Or no, Bethany College.
They were the home team.
They were the home team. So they're playing Kansas Wesleyan. Kansas Wesleyan takes a drink out of the Gatorade cooler. As you said, man, there's some funky stuff in here. They open it up. Now, I read somewhere where it's alleged that it was paint thinner. Is that what you're thinking? Is that what you're hearing? And then like 8 people got sick, which makes it battery. Is that what you're hearing? Was it supposedly paint thinner?
The crazy part about it is, that there were some people from the Kansas Wesleyan, side of things that are saying that it's paint thinner. So you had the police department, take the water cooler, running tests on it and everything along those lines. And yeah, you have people involved with that baseball team that are saying it was paint thinner, which is the dumbest thing in the world because you could have killed somebody. I get the whole, hey, let's mess with somebody by putting an eye drop, into somebody's water glass, give them an upset stomach. But man, this is, we're talking about, this is some hardcore stuff here. So they really screwed up. And if they find out who did it and whatnot and can prove it, then it could be pretty bad for that Bethany College over the next couple months. And nobody's wanting to comment, by the way, either. Like I tried yesterday and they're like, you know what? It's all under investigation. We have no comment. And I'm like, I'm sure you do.
We called it a flipper. I had teeth that had 2 teeth on it. So I'd go to a party and I'd drop it in someone's beer and then they would drink the beer and all of a sudden they're like, Jesus, I've been looking for that. Why'd you get my teeth at? What are you doing? I mean,
or the old
people would laugh and
water,
go,
vodka in the water bottle type of
give
thing.
a little,
I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm not putting paint there. All right. Who are the first 5 SEC players that are going to get drafted in this draft?
I think when we start off defensively, I think that's the strong suit of the SEC this year. Last year, they had 11 players drafted in the first round. When we're looking at it from like a defensive side of thing, I think you have to start off, Trayvon Walker is the hot name right now. This is a kid that had 3 sacks in 2021, comes back with 6 sacks last season for a national championship winning team. And you know what? You wouldn't think this would be the first Georgia player off the board, but he did so well at the combine, Dan, that it's taken some people by surprise. And now you've got some mock drafts putting him at 1 or 3 or even 2 behind Aiden Hutchinson. And then I think, when we're getting down that line, kind of sticking with Georgia, Jordan Davis, such a freak. I think everybody remembers him last year, 6'7", 360 pounds, just clogs up the middle. He's another player that's going to come off the board in the first. You got Nakobe Dean at linebacker from Georgia. You look at the way, Devontae Wyatt, you look at the way that some of these players off this Georgia squad and where they're going to be drafted at. It's no wonder they won a national championship last year, especially with that defense. And then I think 2 other names to keep an eye on in the first round definitely is going to be Derek Stingley Jr., cornerback out of LSU. Who, in my opinion, is the best defensive back in the draft this season. Even when he was dealing with a little bit of a shoulder injury last year. Still, to me, best defensive player. I think they could come off the board. He's going to help somebody real early. And then the other is going to be Kyer Elam out of Florida, defensive back. I think he could potentially go late in the first round. So those are the SEC names on defense to keep an eye out on. And then I would say, if we're going to flip it over a little bit to the offense, I think it all starts, you can go with Evan Neal, the offensive lineman for Alabama, who's been dominant over the last 2 to 3 years. Dan, you can go with Charles Cross from Mississippi State, who's played fantastic under Mike Leach last year, protected Will Rogers and that quarterback down there in Starkville. But really look, the surprises that were going to be to me, and they're not surprised in a sense. Jamison Williams, the receiver from Alabama who tore his ACL in that national championship game, to me, it feels like he's going to be a top 12 pick in this draft. The kid is 4.5 months out of surgery, and he's already running. He's already doing sprints. They think this kid's going to be ready to go when they want him in July there for camp. So I think Jamison Williams is another player that somebody's going to get a steal out of him if they take him like after the 10th pick, Dan. So look for Jamison Williams. And then the other to me is Treylon Burks. receiver from Arkansas. Fantastic year last season with Kendall Browse, Art Browse's son at Arkansas, who was the offensive coordinator. So you look at that draft board right now with the SEC players. I just think those are the 5 on each side of the football that are really going to make a splash tomorrow night.
You know what's interesting to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, you mentioned Jamison Williams, but he's the only skill guy out of the SEC. Like, Matt Corral, I guess, is the number 1 quarterback out of the SEC. There's no running back that really pops off. Would John Mechie I don't know, I always say it wrong. Is John Mechie a guy? I know he's on the men. I don't know. It's just weird to me that you got all this speed, all this skill, and when you look at the SEC, Neal is a lineman, Cross is a lineman. Jamison Williams is the one guy that, is a skilled guy. With all that talent and only one skilled guy in the first round is odd. Let me put it that way.
No, and it kind of is. You're not seeing the stable of running backs come out of Alabama this year, maybe like you would see in years past, and even as a whole in the Southeastern Conference. Those guys that you would take in the first or second round. I would say, again, keep an eye out on Traylon Burks, wide receiver from Arkansas, but I don't disagree with you. You're seeing it's very different this year, Dan. It is more defensive linemen, offensive linemen. That's what you're going to get out of the SEC this year. And then you're going to find your skill players, in the secondary, but like the wide receivers, the athlete type of guys. No, I agree with you. It's kind of awkward to not see as many this season. In this draft pool, I think it's going to happen. You're going to see some players get taken off the board 2 through 7. But I agree. Matt Corral is the guy that, probably goes second round, I would say, Ole Miss quarterback. And damn, he's good, Dan. He really is.
Is he? You like him?
I like him. I really do. And look, and what he had to do, was able to do under Lane Kiffin last year. I know the bowl game where he ended up, getting dinged up, kind of hurt, doesn't help. But man, a quarterback that's able to scramble outside he reminds me of a quicker Russell Wilson. And I'm not saying that he's going to be some leader like Russell Wilson. I'm saying he kind of plays like Russell Wilson, where if he's got to get down the field, he'll get down the field. If he needs to sling it 60 yards, he'll sling it 60 yards. So it's kind of a comparison without the whole leadership thing. I think he has to grow in that part. But man, when you're able to spend, a couple of years working under Lane Kiffin and getting tutelage from him at the quarterback spot, I think it's going to benefit you. So watch for Matt Corral in the second round out of Ole Miss. That name sticks out to me.
All right, Trey, you're around the SEC. I was reading, and it seems like every year this happens, but I was reading some negative things, about Matt Corral. He's a party boy, all that kind of stuff. I mean, is that anything you heard? Is there any character issues here? Is there anything the team should be concerned about?
I think that NFL teams have done their due diligence with Matt Corral. I'm not going to come out and slam the kid for unconfirmed reports or anything along those lines. But yes, I mean, there's a little bit of that that cocky swagger that he has, and maybe that translates off the field a little bit too. But when you look at, taking the next step in your life and this becoming a business that it is now in college athletics or even the NFL, the kid can straighten up. I think he's going to be just fine. It's not like he's out here getting arrested and all that type of stuff, whatever. I just think, I think it's a kid that took a step from his junior to senior year, Dan, and grew up a lot. And I think it'll pay off, when it comes to the NFL draft. He's projecting right now second round, early third round. I think that's where he should be. He's a good quarterback, and he's going to be probably the best one coming out of the SEC. He'll learn.
Yeah, I mean, look, it seems like that crap. I mean, Baker Mayfield gets thrown on the ground. I mean, we've seen what he's not getting arrested. He's not doing any of that. What's he supposed to do? Sit in a room and read the Christian Science Monitor? I mean, what the hell?
Oh, you go.
I do want to
enjoy a
ask you
damn
about
beer
Mechie,
after a
though.
football game.
Enjoy 100 of them. I mean, there's a status to being a quarterback that you don't get all the time. What about Mechie? Where's he at? I know I read something where he's running too. He's all right. I mean, is he? Is he? And what do you think of him as an NFL player?
I like Mechie. I really do. His speed, his ability to get down the field. He can play in the slot if you need him to as well. Open it up down the field. You look at him overall and his long-term impact. Alabama wide receivers, they have a way of making a career in the NFL. And I think when you look at Mechie right now and what he was able to do under Bryce Young last season, I mean, it's going to take a little bit of a comeback with that one. But I think, these NFL teams take risk on these players. And that's what they're supposed to do because you see talent. John Mechie has talent. And I think that he's going to be a big contributor to some NFL team who decides to take him. Now, does that mean, second round, maybe early third round? Who knows? But I think that some team out there right now has him on his draft where they're like, okay, look, we're going to take him if he drops to us, if he still has a little bit of ways to go. When it comes to being, completely 100%, that's fine. That's why you have time in the NFL. And look, John Mechie coming from Alabama, they develop studs, and I think he's going to be one of them in the NFL.
I do too. I had a chance. I mean, you watch all the games. I went to the Tennessee game, and I thought down in Tuscaloosa, I thought he was great. Let me put it this way: if the Colts got John Mechie, man, I'm all in on it. I would be good with it. Hey, look, if it takes you a couple months into the season, good. I don't care. I mean, I thought the kid was really good. Since '07, the SEC has dominated this draft. I assume we're going to see the most draft picks out of this conference once again when it's all said and done, 1 through 7.
I would think so. I think you're going to see another SEC domination when it comes to this draft. The Big Ten's up there. I don't know how close they get overall draft picks, ACC, but I think, the SEC is pretty loaded this year when it comes to this draft. And here's the thing too, you're going to see, I think, a good amount of them taken off the board in the first round, but there's a lot of talent that you're going to see taken from draft, rounds 3 through 7 that are going to add to that list this year. Don't look past the first round. You're going to see a lot of players. But I think, pay attention 3 through 7, and you'll just see how loaded the SEC has been over the last, 2 years developing these prospects. So, look, anything can happen. You know that in these draft rooms. But right now, I feel like the Southeastern Conference is just throwing them out there one after the other.
I am on Thursday. Don't laugh at me until you look at his numbers and who he did them against in his last 5 games. But I am starting on Thursday my campaign to get Aiden O'Connell, the quarterback of Purdue, the Heisman Trophy. I'm having Jeff Brom, his coach, on my show in Indianapolis Thursday afternoon. The dude's numbers were insane against Ohio State, against who was number 3 at the time, Michigan State, against Penn State, against a rival Indiana. So that's what I'm doing. But I got to believe going into the season, I know C.J. Stroud at Ohio State, fantastic. But I got to believe Bryce Young, at least the way I look at it, is by far the leading candidate for the Heisman, correct? Does he have, this is a stupid question, but he does lose Williams. He does lose Mechie. We got weapons enough there at Alabama to make this kid the Heisman Trophy winner, Bryce Young?
Yeah. They just spit out different weapons every year. If somebody, leaves, they're adding more in there. They just landed a Louisville transfer the other day. They've got probably the number 1 transfer running back in Jahmyr Gibbs, who's going to help him out tremendously out of the backfield. Yeah, Bryce Young, to me, it feels like he can double up, grab himself another Heisman. C.J. Stroud is such a good player, too, and that's why his betting odd numbers are where they're at for the Heisman. Going back real quick, too, Aiden O'Connell, I saw him play against Tennessee in the Music City Bowl. That kid has a fantastic arm. And the way that he was able to do that without a couple top wide receivers as well, that kid's going to be pretty fire next year for Purdue. So I'm with you on that one. But I think that Bryce Young, If they can figure out, it usually takes 2 or 3 games for Alabama to find that wide receiving core. It's going to be able to help them out deep. I mean, it's always something new. John Mechie, Jamison Williams, like last season. So Alabama's going to figure that out, and they're going to be just fine. And Bryce Young, to me, it's him, C.J. Stroud. Those are the top 2 guys right now. I think you're going to see some outliers come into play, after the first 2 or 3 games of the season. But, if you want to throw some money on it, that's what I would do. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and see where it goes from there.
See, you mentioned money, and Stroud in the one that I saw was the odds-on favorite. My man Aiden O'Connell was 10,000 to 1, and so I went and I said, all right, how does this set up? You mentioned something else interesting. It takes a game, Alabama, they usually win a game, obviously, but it takes a game and then they figure their wide receivers. See, O'Connell has something interesting. They don't play Michigan, they don't play Ohio State, they don't play Michigan State, which can be either good or bad, but they open, I'm going to get to the question here in a second, they open with Penn State. Now, that's a national program. It's going to be on national TV. Let me ask you a question. Even my dog doesn't like what I'm asking here. How important are first impressions for guys that aren't going to be named C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young in a Heisman race?
That's a really good question. And honestly, I think when you are able to go back and look at what the kid did last season, I think that builds up expectations. So you're kind of set up for that, for the 2022 season. Like, okay, we saw what Aiden O'Connell did last year. Okay, now let's see him take that next step. And if he does, he can continue building up that resume when it comes to a potential Heisman Trophy. I understand the teams that they're not playing, but when you get the opportunity to be on center stage, which it probably will be against Penn State, I would imagine, late afternoon game, early evening type game, where all eyes might be on you and you make it competitive, that's it's just going to happen. I understand the schedule might not be as good as it could be, but it doesn't matter. Go out there and put up those numbers that you should. And here's the thing too, you play in a conference that is good enough to garner you recognition. And I think if you go out there, and you're not losing 5 or 6 games, you can sit around that 3-loss category. It sets you up even better. So, I'm not the one that always thinks, okay, just because you're not playing Alabama or Michigan or Ohio State every year, it doesn't mean that you should not be a candidate if you're going out there and torching everybody else.
Yeah, and I looked at their schedule, and they should, if they're good, they were 9-4 last year. If they're good, they shouldn't lose any more than 2 games. Again, who knows? I also said this, Trey. I also said, hey, look, if he doesn't light it up against Penn State, this whole campaign I'm starting is over. It's over. He's got to light it up against Penn State, or else Double D is moving on to somebody else, baby. I'm over.
You're going to have
early.
You're going to have the billboards up for a couple of weeks, and then if he doesn't play well, you're going to pay for him to take him down. I get what you're doing. It's smart.
Gone. Yeah, look, because I'm a realist. I think the kid legitimately at 10,000 to 1 is a pretty good odds to put something on. I do. I think his numbers are going to be stupid. Jeff Brom runs that kind of offense. Is it going to be better than Bryce Young? Probably not. Is his, are they going to play in as big of games? No. Ohio State? No. However, you got to play well in all those games when you're on center stage. I don't know. But I guarantee you, if my man doesn't light it up against Penn State, gone. What? Go ahead.
Who is to say something doesn't, and I hope it doesn't happen, okay? I'm not saying it will, knock on wood. Who's to say Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, something doesn't happen to them early in the season? Something along those lines, maybe with an injury and they miss a couple games or something like that. That's when these other players step in and take over that role, maybe become a leader in the race. So don't take your billboards down too early, Dan. You never know what's going to happen, buddy.
I know. It's an everyday conversation on my show in Indy because I don't know. I just kind of feel like it. Hey, Trey, great stuff, man. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it, Dan.
Hey, that's at Trey Wallace _. I'm telling you, you're going to love him. Follow him on Twitter right now. Just go right now. Hit the follow button. And I know he's an SEC guy, and I know a lot of you guys are here in the Big Ten, but we're all college football fans, and he's the best follow that you're going to find. He is. Don't at me about it either, people, because if you at me, I'll come at your ass. I mean, that's just what I'm going to do. Anyway, my number is up now to 400 people. My Twitter account did not add people for like 3 years. In fact, it went down. I think I was over 160 at one point. Now I'm at 154,700. It did not add people. When Elon Musk took this over, 48 hours or so ago, I was at 154,300. Now all of a sudden I'm at 154,700. You freaking crooks out there, you freaking awful human beings that censored and blocked and shadow blocked, you're ridiculous. I'm glad you're upset, you jackasses. I'm glad you're not happy about it. I hope you cry in your little Twitter meetings. And even more so, I hope that you get fired from your daggone job. Censorship isn't the American way. It's not. So stop it. Man, well, we're going to make your Twitter followers go down because you put out a conservative tweet. That's crap. And if you don't think it's, most normal people think it's crap. I'm really right now just insulting the idiots of this world that want all of us to think like them. And as soon as all of us don't think like them, we have to be called names and censored. I see it every day with a guy in my YouTube chat named Ed Rogers. Every day, Ed's on here, and every day, Ed's got to put some kind of Trump stupidity. He can't think for himself. He's got to think in this crazy sphere. Bah! Drives you nuts. As the commissioner of common sense, I say good. As a commissioner of common sense, I say I want free speech. As a commissioner of common sense, I say to all of you, go get him, Elon Musk. Fire all these people that try to limit us. I also say to you, including Ed Rogers, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being a part of this. Thank you all for entertaining me as I go through this show, because that's what you do. Davey and Ryan and Dylan, thanks a lot for everything you guys do on a daily basis. You can see this show is evolving, more highlights, more graphics. It's not just my fat you-know-what sitting here talking. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. If you want more of this gorgeousness, go to YouTube, check out me, and you can see my 1075 show on youtube.com, or just go to the app wherever you get whatever entertainment you get, Spotify, whatever, and go to 1075 The Fan, and you can hear my afternoon show. Dakich, as always,